We begin with Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry on the strategy of dealing with the no strategy admission. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening, Brett. Remember, it was Prime Minister Cameron who cut short his own vacation after the beheading of James Foley. Today, the president left his aides behind to deal with clarifying his comments about this crisis while he hit the road for some fundraisers.
A tale of two leaders, one day after President Obama admitted he has no strategy to deal with ISIS in Syria. Prime Minister David Cameron revealed the UK has raised its terror threat level to severe and vowed to challenge radical Islam head-on.
This is not some foreign conflict thousands of miles from home that we can hope to ignore.
That came as White House aides said the Department of Homeland Security has no plans so far to raise the threat level here, and officials tried to dig out of the fallout from the president's news conference.
But I don't want to put the cart before the horse. We don't have a strategy yet.
Leading critics to charge the president is vastly underestimating the threat.
Cameron stands up there resolute. He's telling the British people what they're facing, what they're going to have to do, and our president is still trying to figure out what we're going to do.
White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest spent 24 hours trying to clean that up, in part by claiming it was the media's fault.
The reaction that we had at the White House yesterday was not in response to the president's comments. It's in response to the way it was being reported.
Except it was the president who promised 1 year ago this month he was putting together a strategy to deal with emerging terror groups like ISIS.
That requires us then to make sure that we have a strategy that is strengthening those partners so that they've got their own capacity to deal with what are potentially manageable regional threats.
Now, ISIS is a threat beyond the Mideast that some of the president's own cabinet secretaries have warned could be dangerous to the homeland.
1 year later, how could he not have that strategy?
Ed, as we've talked about quite a bit, the president has been very explicit about what the comprehensive strategy is.
White House officials explain the president is justifiably cautious about getting involved in Syria's 3-year-old civil war, while being aggressive about a military strategy in Iraq, where there have now been 110 U.S. airstrikes aimed at ISIS, which the Pentagon revealed is costing $7.5 million a day. Today, though, the president was fundraising in New York and Rhode Island.
Why is he still raising campaign money, playing golf, when he's acknowledging he doesn't have a strategy to deal with this?
Well, Ed, the job of any U.S. president is to be able to handle a lot of different responsibilities at the same time.
Now, at one of those fundraisers today, the president said, if you watch the nightly news, it feels like the world is falling apart. He tried to reassure the campaign donors by saying the world has always been messy, but we're, quote, just noticing now in part because of social media. We should remember, though, it was only a short time ago that Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel said the world is exploding all over. Brett?
Okay, Ed Henry live on the North Lawn.